Hello, everybody. This is Adam, the president of Nurse Recruitment Experts, and welcome along to this webinar. Today, we're going to be speaking about international nurse recruitment, something that's a very hot topic at the moment as the nursing shortage intensifies. We were going to speak to Julie Zuckerman today from Stewart Health, but unfortunately, she's had conflict and she's unable to do the interview today. So rather than leave you all hanging, I wanted to be able to share a few insights and a little bit of analysis instead of cancelling. So today I'm going to be going over 10 little snippets of information about international nurse recruiting that I hope you'll find useful and informative, whether you're just getting into bringing nurses from abroad to your facility or you've been doing it for a while successfully. So I'm going to share my screen and we'll jump into it. If you're listening on the podcast, don't worry, I'll explain everything. You don't need to see the screen. So firstly, you probably clicked on to join this podcast or webinar because there's a growing need out there. The US Bureau of Labor Statistics projects that more than 275 additional nurses are needed in this decade. And employment for nursing is growing faster than any other profession. So there's a shortage of skills in the existing population of the US and Canada, and systems are looking outside to other countries in order to plug that gap. So if you're not currently doing international nurse recruitment, it's something that's worth considering to the medium to long term, because the shortage is only going to intensify as people get older and the number of domestically educated nurses fails to meet the needs. So if you want to get ahead of the curve, start international nurse recruitment 20 years ago. But if you want to avoid potential strenuous and high cost period of recruitment, it's useful to get used to this now and build a platform that will take you through the decade. There's also a trend of international nurses coming in. So you can see there is 44% increase in 2022 versus 2021 of nurses applying for a visa screen. And that was 109% increase from 2018. So more nurses are wanting to come and more employers are wanting to hire them. Of all countries, the Philippines is the largest provider, comprising 60% of all visa screen applications in 2022. And I think it makes sense in a lot of ways. There's a history of Filipino immigration to the States. Obviously, there's a period of direct control coming from Washington onto the islands, and the population of the Philippines is well versed in English. Probably the best English skills in Southeast Asia, and nurses there are kind of familiar with US culture and have been coming as nurses for decades now. International nurses are particularly well educated too. So according to an AMN survey in 2021, the great majority have a training level of BSN or above, compared to 56% of all nurses domestically. So these are smart, well-educated RNs that you could potentially be hiring. And they're filling high-need positions. So according to AMN, 19% of international nurses work in intensive or critical care, compared to 15% of all nurses, and 8% of nurses work in emergency rooms, compared to 5% of all nurses. So they're more willing to do the more difficult jobs, or they're more adept at them. And I think that this shows that they're a vital part of the workforce, and a growing one at that. So if you're looking at that med-surg opening and thinking, where's all the med-surg nurses, then worth a look at how you can recruit internationally to fill them. Now, movements of nurses are, in the case of the Philippines, as a as a case study, interconnected, geopolitics, language, living standards, even history. You can see there that the Philippines was over 5 times greater in terms of nurses coming in than Canada, which, if you were new to all this, you maybe would be a bit surprised. And Canada's closer, obviously, more similar culture, shared language, but a big draw for Filipinos is, of course, the living standards in US and the pay. I know the pay in Canada is lower, but you can see the kind of the difference in the applications, showing that it's not just proximity. Mexico doesn't really make the list even because of the language barrier. So here in the UK, where I'm from, you can see the Philippines is still at top, but India is at number 2. And the reason that there's not a lot of Indians practicing nursing in the States is because of the immigration cap on professionals and people that can come over from India. The quantity of tech workers that are really getting ahead of the queue. The visa line is 10 years plus for an Indian nurse who wants to come over. So watch out for changes in immigration policy around this. If that were in the future to shift and the government decides actually we need more nurses urgently, and there's a change and a special rule for Indian immigration, then that would cause kind of a boom market. So keep an eye on that. Now, I'm going to move on to some suggestions I found on how you can actually attract nurses from different countries. And the first one will be content creation. So if a nurse finds you through an agency, which many of them do, there's a lot of recruitment agencies out there that work internationally and sponsor visas, then they'll be researching you, researching your area, and trying to understand if you'd be a good employer and a good place to live and start a career and a new life. So it's important that your shop front reflects something that's welcoming and reflects your workforce, and it's going to make them feel at ease. I've seen some health systems utilize social media well, featuring ambassadors from Jamaica or the Philippines or other countries that have came over and have been successful in assimilating and growing in their career. So it's useful if you want to get more international nurses to create content on your career site that is targeted towards them and also utilizes ambassadors who have been there, done it, and really help them make them feel at ease. Imagine if you were going to work in the Philippines, you would find someone with the same accent to you in the recruitment process as welcoming and help you associate it more and make it more real with your current life. Now, a lot of these candidates and potential candidates need to pass the IELTS English exam. They need to get their NCLEX exam to practice nursing. So there's a swathe of potential candidates out there, but a smaller number who are actually qualified, seriously interested, and then available to move over. And a talent pool to engage that early stage that maybe haven't done the IELTS English exam or haven't done their NCLEX is useful and powerful, because you're not neglecting and discounting anyone who hasn't got those qualifications yet. You've got some kind of forum. It could just be an email list or campaign that keeps them in the loop about your ambassadors and what international nurses are doing at your system or with your agency. And it prompts them towards getting their NCLEX. You could be offering free courses or directing them to discounted courses, prompts them towards improving their English, and again links them to preparation for the English exam or discounted preparation. And in doing so, whenever they get it, or they get it with your help, they're going to be more likely to keep you in mind as their option of choice whenever they do make the application and the move. Final tip be, if you're advertising on job boards, customize the position. So if you put up registered nurse ICU and the location is Manila, that job ad should look different than if the location is Houston. The person reading that in Manila is going to have a different background, different culture, different things that they need to know than the nurse who's grown up and lived in Houston all his life. So I've seen some that put international nurse in the title, and they specifically mention the qualifications that an international nurse would need, such as the NCLEX or a couple of years' experience. And it's good if you can go into detail about what life for international nurses is like at your system or working with your agency, and include specified information towards this group of candidates. Don't just reuse the ad that you have for local, domestically sourced nurses. Again, it's about making it personal and saying to them, I recognize what you want, what situation you're in, and I'm going to provide you something and provide you information that is relevant to your specific situation. If you can do that, then you'll become more well known by them, more liked, and more engaging, more personal. And that's really how you win people's trust. If you can win their trust, then they are more likely to want to work with you. So that's it. That's my 10 insights into international nurse recruitment. I would love to interview someone who really specializes in working in this space. So look out for future content on this from nurse recruitment experts. You can follow our LinkedIn page or follow our Nurse Recruitment Secrets podcast. And until then, we'll be creating more insights and analysis into nurse recruitment to help you amplify your RN, LPN, and CNA hiring. So thanks for watching or listening, and I hope you have a great weekend. It's been nice to chat to you. Thank you.